Hello everyone, welcome to Common Conversations. We are answering another question today. Common questions just about marriage, relationships, all of that jazz. We've been knocking out those questions that we've been looking up as popular questions, and so giving our responses to those. So, Lindsay, what's our question that we're talking about this evening?
How to have a healthy argument with your spouse.
It just sounds lame.
I know. But if you're mindful,
Yeah.
makes things a lot smoother.
So I will say from experience with us that there has actually been an increase in the healthiness of our arguments by being mindful.
Yeah.
And I think, us boiling down these points is evidence just from like trial and error with us, trying to figure out obviously we weren't always arguing the best.
Yeah.
Because it was either drawn out, it was long, it was hurtful, it was unnecessary on many levels. And I think how we're answering this question with our 4 parts to that is really just school of hard knocks sort of things, and also just a desire to want to do it better, argue better. Because the fact is, arguments are going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to happen.
Yeah.
Arguments are going to happen.
It's inevitable. And also, just to elaborate on that, this is about just more so disagreements, not really any kind of abuse or maybe cheating or anything like that. Not arguments on those kind of things. This is more about just disagreements, and not even any kind of disagreement, I guess.
What I hear you saying is this isn't about reconciling things that you would probably need to see a counselor about.
Exactly. So I just wanted to preface that before we start, that this is definitely on a different scale.
Right.
When it comes to that.
This is more of your everyday, normal, frustrated with your spouse, arguments over, super little things dude needs to turn off the, bathroom light whenever he leaves and put the toilet seat down, all the way to still some really kind of intense stuff.
Sure.
That we can be frustrated with each other about. Mm-hmm. But I think you hit the nail on the head just with this isn't, if it comes to something that needs professional assistance, this is not what we're offering.
Yeah.
We're not offering professional assistance with things that you really need to see, someone who can get to know you, get to know your story, and know that there's layers and layers of deep things that need to be sorted out. This is not that,
Exactly.
So these are things that can be used for just really normal, everyday argument sort of stuff, knowing that stuff is going to arise because we're humans and we get frustrated with each other.
Yeah.
And when we get frustrated with each other, we typically say something about it. And then the other person typically has something to say about it too. Mm-hmm. And then you go back and forth, and that's what we call an argument or a disagreement.
Yeah.
And so these are 4 things that we've worked through to help reconcile arguments and argue healthy and make the best use of our emotions, of our minds, of our relationship, of our time, of all of those things. Help try to do that in the most efficient way possible, because it is going to happen.
Yeah. So the first one we thought was really good and important was evaluate your emotions.
I can speak to that one a little bit.
Yeah,
because,
good.
I know that was, we both have definitely put effort into these, but I know that I definitely knew that one had to be first.
Yeah.
Because I feel emotion.
Perfect word.
Right? I feel that our attachment to our emotions are typically the culprits of our frustration and arguments. These emotions that arise in us at that moment, in that situation, in that circumstance, our attachment to those really sets us up to say things that maybe we don't want to say, to do things we don't want to do, to react in ways that we really shouldn't or wouldn't react. And so our detachment or our isolation of that emotion allows us to observe that and to take from it what we will, to be able to present in that argument in the present moment to our spouse or whoever really that we're with. So what I mean by that is having that emotion, feeling it, because emotions are good. They tell us what we are sensing, what we're feeling, what we're actually thinking. Your feelings do have a sense of thinking to them and reason to them, unlike some people like to give them merit for. And I really believe that being able to separate that emotion, be able to take from it the information that needs to be taken, but being able to sort it, isolate it so that you can sort out what needs to be taken from this emotion to inform the situation and what needs to be disregarded and discarded that isn't going to be helpful.
Yeah.
So I really think controlling and evaluating and isolating that emotion at the beginning of the argument, as soon as the things begin to come about, help bring a centered and calmness and reason to us rather than just a reaction. We can respond to the situation.
And I think too, like, if you need to, like, evaluate before you even, like, if you need to take a minute and just, like, step away from the argument to understand what's going on with your emotions and your thoughts and all that, like, I think it's totally necessary.
Totally.
Like,
you don't have to figure it out right then and there.
Yeah.
Too. And I think that's part of, like, sorting out your emotions first. Like, Alan Watts, he says muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, if your emotions are too muddied, if you are too, like me, like, I deal with anger, and I've really gotten a handle on that over the years. But, I feel fogged. I feel muddied. Like, it doesn't help to try to argue in that moment. It's only going to make it muddier.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Let it alone. Let it sort out. And, a lot of people think that they got to sort it out. And depending on the severity of the argument, if it's a small thing, then, maybe you just need to practice not being so frustrated about somebody leaving their shoes behind the door.
Yeah.
But if it is something a little bit bigger, a little greater, I think it's completely okay and applicable to take that step back, to have that time to evaluate what needs to be discarded from this emotion and what needs to help inform me.
Yes, I agree 100%. I think that's going to eliminate a lot of unnecessary, like, spouts.
Yeah.
And you can understand more where you're heading with your argument. Yeah, and the second one is control your tone and how you attack.
Yes.
So I think that's really huge. Like, for me, like, especially, I know that was always kind of my thing. I'd be like, I don't understand your tone right now. Like, what,
It's so annoying
like,
too.
Yeah, and vice versa.
I know. Totally.
Yeah, like, but.
Yeah.
But I think just being really careful too to not come attacking your partner, like, because that right there is just gonna build a wall and it's gonna cause it to go in a direction that's probably not gonna work out great, at least immediately.
Right.
It'll send it in another direction.
Yeah, I think the correlation between tone and attack is crucial because we are sensing beings. Like, there's so much more to us. When people say, like, no, you're not here listening to the words that I'm saying, it's like, yeah, but I'm listening in the way in which you are saying them, And I think that really does have such a big impact on arguments because, like, we are such sensing beings that we can feel attacked just in the way even something nice is said. But, like, it can seem attacking to us.
Yeah.
And so I think in order to argue in a healthy way, coming at it with that tone of voice that is, once again, calm and centered and grounded. I mean, it's so much easier to reason with somebody that actually has a ground of being to them.
Yeah.
The people that are just spout-offs and, they just kind of talk loud in those situations, and who can talk louder and talking over each other, like, nobody likes to talk to that person, period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you want to talk to people who are calm, cool, collected, that have their thoughts together, that are able to execute with their words, what they're feeling and thinking.
It pushes you to want to work things out because you're like, oh, this person isn't out to just argue to argue. Like, they really want to work it out, and it makes me want to work it out. Like, okay, we can do this. Like, it just brings you to, like, a level ground. You're both on the same team. You're not against each other. You're trying to make something work here.
And checking your tone is crucial because we can think that we're trying to communicate that we're not attacking, and then, like, our tone is just, like,
saying
so
otherwise.
dumb, dude. Yeah, it's just very much saying a different story. And I think that, like, on that attacking piece, whenever we choose to attack people in those situations, when we're choosing to attack our partner, we're clearly not valuing the relationship, period.
Yep.
We have become individual beings, not connected beings at that point. And so understanding our tone, pausing to understand our tone, to use a calm, cool, collected tone, to understand that we aren't attacking that person, solidifies the fact that we're both on the same boat. And the only thing we're trying to do now is figure out how we can both row together and sink again.
That's really good, and I think that's really crucial to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you know, when you're in a relationship with someone, it's about both of you.
Yep.
You have to consider the other person.
Yeah.
You know?
And when you come off attacking, you're immediately saying, we are two.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
You're there.
Us versus them kind of thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And anti-attack says, we're still one.
Yeah.
We're still together.
Yeah.
We're going to work this out. And, you know, I've been listening to a really good book just talking about different things, and part of it was about voice tone. And, you know, he was talking about that, like, DJ voice, you know, like the low late night talk show radio host, and how psychologically that just instills trust and safety and warmth, and what that does to our psyche, you know. Why wouldn't that work in the course of argument?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, not being, you know, if you're going to come off happy and cheerful, they're going to think you're just being a jerk.
Exactly.
You know, if you come off super direct, they're going to be like, oh, well, this is just a controlling, you know, person.
Yeah.
You know, but if you use that sort of warm, calm, slow tone, I think it incites peace.
Yes.
You know, and that's really what we're after.
Which I remember when, in our marriage, when, like, you would start approaching me a little different. I don't remember when exactly, but I remember when it started happening, and it was like, it was just kind of, it started to make me want to approach things in that way. And, like, we didn't even discuss it. It just, that it changed me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it started to, you know, like, I started to recognize that, and it made me feel safe with you.
Yeah.
Actually, like, really secure in things, and, like, this argument's okay to have because, like, you're making it, like, okay, and, like, I don't know. It did that for me, though.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
When you argue, you want the other person to feel safe in the argument, unless you really want to freaking burn your relationship.
Annihilate them. Exactly.
Like, unless you really don't care and you're really trying to eventually split from this thing. But if you actually made a commitment to that person, i.e. married them, then you're not going to do that. So you, even though you have frustration and disagreement, you still want them to feel safe.
Yes.
End of story. You know?
Yeah.
So,
totally.
First thing, evaluate emotions. If it takes time to do that, you really got to take some time to figure that out, to sort that out. What can I take from it to add to? What do I need to discard? Number 2 is understand your tone and your attack. Number 3
is understand point of views. Trying to, you know, understand, like, there's more to this.
Yeah.
Try to, at least.
Right.
You know?
Typically what's being stated isn't really being stated.
Well, I just think, like, that's even with, like, the emotions, like, evaluating your emotions, because I think our emotions we let them convince us of our point of view, like, that we are this right, because our emotion, it feels so strong, it makes us feel like, oh yeah, like, I am right, like, this is it, you know, and you're kind of, like, everything else is, like, non-existent, in my opinion, like, you don't see any other side because your emotion is just driving you. So I think even with the emotions, it can help with that, like, sorting through, like, the point of view, you know, too.
Yeah. We do bring our own point of view to the table. That's the whole reason of the argument, is I have a point of view and you have a point of view, and those point of views are not, you know, coexisting in that moment.
Yeah.
And the point is that we have to get on the same frequency. That's the goal. That's what we're aiming towards. And I think understanding point of view is even evaluating first ourselves. Is my point of view valid? Some people will argue, even you're out there, you'll argue even if you know you're wrong.
Yes.
You'll do that. I know you're out there because I used to do that a lot. Even if I knew I was missing it and I was a little bit wrong, my ego told me that I had to continue to fight.
Yeah.
And we have to understand our own point of view and say, is my point of view even applicable and valid right now? And I think that's part of dying to the false self of ego, and that's, I could go on a whole spiritual tangent on that, but also just on a strictly relational tangent is, if you're bringing any ego to the relationship, that doesn't matter what relationship it's with. If it's with another person, if it's the relationship with yourself, if it's your relationship with the divine, you are going to lose if you always allow everything to be filtered through ego.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding your point of view, like, is my point of view okay and good and not dumb?
Yeah.
Secondly,
Yeah.
let me try to see this person's point of view,
Yeah.
because I can't always be trusted
Yeah.
to see everything right. I mean, you joke around that I think that I do, but I really don't.
I know.
I really don't. I'm really open. And
Yeah.
I think seeing that other person's point of view is really,
Yeah, there's been times I've been put in my place because I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think that was a possibility, and I looked like a complete idiot. And I was like, wow. Like, I felt so dumb and guilty,
Yeah, I feel
You're
the same
like,
way.
oh my gosh, like, whatever. But
So I think points of view are really crucial, and I think that actually leads us to point 4. Let's do a quick little recap, though. First one, evaluate your emotion, first and foremost. If you need to step away, whatever. Understand your tone and your attack. Number 2. Number 3, understand your point of view. And number 4.
Number 4 is choose to come to a resolution.
Yes. And I think that point of view, when it comes to that, is because the goal is that both of our points of view, if they don't align and are the same, they're at least respected enough to come to the resolution.
Yeah. Because you have to. I mean, you've got to come to that at some point.
But choosing resolution is crucial, because a lot of people want to dig their heels in and not come to that resolution until that other person has knelt down and bowed down to their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
No, the goal is resolution, not winning a battle or a war.
Yes.
The goal is that each person brings out a white flag, not that the other person is annihilated.
Yes,
That's,
exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's crucial because, even whenever we were young and people were asking me this question 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I proposed to you to be my wife, you know. I used my graduation money, I got graduation money, and the first thing I did is I bought a new stereo for my car, and I went to the mall and got you a ring, And I was like, asked by a lot of people, how did you know she was the one? You're so young, you just graduated.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much time ahead of you. There's so many fish in the sea, all that stuff. How do you know she's the one? And looking back, it was actually a really mature answer for my age. I didn't even realize it, It's like, well, the obvious, she's hot. We have fun together, all the obvious dumb teen stuff.
Yeah.
We hang out at 24-hour Starbucks until 3 in the morning, all that, whatever. And, but what really made me know that you were the one is that when we argued, when we fought, I knew that we both were working towards resolution.
Yeah.
I knew that that's what I wanted. I wanted us to both agree and to be on the same page. And I knew, because all of your language, not just your words, but everything about you and your vibe, your spirit, your ethos that you gave off told me that too, because we are so multi-dimensional beings, but I won't even get into that as well. But like, we really can sense from each other what our desires are.
Yeah.
And I knew your desire was resolution, and so was mine. And I would tell people, the reason I know that she's the right one is because when we fight, when we argue, we're both working to come to agreement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really, really big.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, because it's like you're fighting in a sense for each other.
Yeah.
You really want to resolve it. I'm fighting because I want you. You want me. So like, there's this weird, like, you want to be together, you know, so you're willing to work it through. I mean, because me and you, like, in our years of dating, we definitely had our share of arguments.
For sure. And I was a hothead 10 years ago. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, massive anger, you know?
Yeah.
And to the point to where you almost broke up with me because Lindsay told me, I swear to you, Lindsay told me, I have to break up with you. This is how much she's already thinking. Because I don't want my kids one day, we're 18, not engaged yet. I don't want my kids to grow up with a father that's that angry.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, don't break up with me.
I was like getting out of the car and you're like, wait. I remember you pulling me in and you were like, no.
I'm like, don't go. I'm like, I'll go to anger management classes and, you know, all this stuff.
But it really, I knew that, like, you know, anger is a part of being in a relationship with somebody, like, or not anger, but fighting is, or arguing, you know. And
sure.
I was just like,
all of those things are.
Yeah, all of that. And I knew, like, if we can't come to, you know, if we can't grow in this and move forward in this, like, we can't do this forever. It's not healthy.
Right.
The way we were doing it was not healthy.
Yeah.
But it pushed us to find a healthy way.
Yeah.
Because we love each other.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think even more so in the past few years when we've really done a lot of awareness, self-development, you know, as people, that has just, I mean, expedited it.
I agree.
Exponentially.
Yeah, it wasn't even that it became the focal point of our relationship. We didn't focus on trying to necessarily improve our arguments. I think just as we were growing, things started to change.
Yeah, and now as we reflect on that, these are things that we are like, these are elements of our growth. Yes. And so I hope that they really help you. I hope that they inspire your arguments, as funny as that sounds. I mean, that sounds like such a dumb statement, you know? But really, though, when you argue, because it's going to happen, how can we bring our best self to the table with our partner? Because that's really what we're seeking. We want resolution. We want to see their point of view. We need to evaluate ours. We need to check our tone. We need to check our attack. We need to evaluate our emotions and isolate them to see what to take from them, what to leave. And that really is going to help every single one of your arguments with your spouse and even with anybody. True. You know, I mean, that goes for, you know, your boss, coworkers, with your kids, parents, anything. So that's really helped us, and elements that have increased our ability to come to resolution and reconciliation. So thank you for tuning in to Common Conversations. This is one of many videos where we are answering popular questions about marriage and relationships. You can check the rest of those on our channel. We would love to have you subscribe and check in with more of these videos that we're posting up. We have some there. We'd love for you to see. If this helped you, share it with somebody that you think is going to help them as well. Because that is the amazing part of this whole thing, is we are helped in order to help. And so the only reason we are sharing any of this is because it has helped us in some way. And so we keep this reciprocation going by that. So would love for you to share it with somebody that you think is going to benefit from it. And, you know, maybe it's somebody that even you want them to argue with you better. I don't know. So that might start an argument sharing this video with them. But you can use the tools to help out with the reconciliation of that argument. So tune in with us, subscribe, join us on Instagram, and we'll see you soon.